Okay, guys, in this question, we are going to continue solving quadratic equations by factoring. So first we got x squared plus 3x equals 0. In order to solve by factoring, the first thing you need to understand is that the right-hand side must be 0. And if it's not, then you would have to make it 0 by subtracting or adding whatever you need to do to move all the terms to the left-hand side. Now, over here, the right-hand side is 0, so we are good to go. Now, what is happening with this quadratic equation? It is not quite the same because the number is missing. The constant term is missing because usually you get something like x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals 0, but there's no number here. And when that happens, then the method that you're trying to use then would be finding the greatest common factor and factoring it out. Well, why does that work? Well, x squared is x multiplied by x, right? X squared, x times x. And 3x is 3 times x. So you can see that they share an x. So they have an x here and an x here. And so that can be factored out. So if I factor it out, if I take it out from the first term, imagine just erasing that x, then I'll be left with the other x. Then whatever sign we got here, we got to repeat here. So that would be plus. And then since we took out that x, the 3 will be left. Okay, so now we're done with factoring. Now remember that the default operation is multiplication. So you have two things, x and also x plus 3. And zero factor property says that either one of them is 0 or the other one is 0. That's the only way for the product to be 0, which means that it's either x equals 0 or x plus 3 equals 0. Now, x equals 0 is already solved for x because x is isolated by itself on the left-hand side. So that's going to be one of our solutions. But here, we want to subtract 3 from both sides to solve that for x. So that's going to be our next solution. That's x equals negative 3. And as usual, whatever solutions you think you got, plug them into the original equation. So I think that this is going to be my factoring. And I think that the answers would be 0 and negative 3, but let's check that out. So if I just open a calculator and I want to plug in 0 into the left-hand side. So 0 squared plus 3 multiplied by 0, well, that's 0, okay? And then I'm also going to plug negative 3. But whenever we're plugging a negative number, be sure to put it in parentheses. So instead of x, I'm plugging negative 3. Okay, and I got 0 both times, which means that I got this right. And I know that for sure.